Today I was looking on a Facebook group, the LightBurn Facebook group, and someone had posted a question about a drawing they were trying to do, and they wanted to put it on the laser. I'm going to go ahead and post it up here. And this is like, basically it's turtles in the ocean. These are waves and these are turtles. And what she's wanting is all of these pieces to be cut. Every line is going to be a cut where every one of these will end up being individual pieces, almost like a puzzle, including the turtle shell and the turtle's feet and the head. Everything will be individual pieces. So normally what you do is you come in here and you do a trace image, and it traced it good, but the problem is it does double lines everywhere. And these lines are really connected. I'm going to ungroup this real quick and show you. So like if I zoom in and like I catch this line here, that line goes all over the place. It's going to actually, if I delete it, it's actually going to remove one of my waves. So let's undo that. And we'll go ahead and group this thing back together. And I'm going to show you what my method was. It's a lot of work, but it works. We'll get this group back together. And we'll make it small enough where it all fits on my artboard. This can always be resized again. You can always bring it back up to size. It'll be okay. So we center this, move to center. So what I decided to do to make this work is basically I'm going to trace and use the edit node feature and basically recreate the whole thing. So if it's a drawing or something like that, I mean, you got a rough idea of what you got here, but you can't really do a complete trace on it. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to make two layers. I'm going to have a working layer and then a layer with this picture. So I'm going to go ahead and select this, and I'm going to pick one of these. I'm going to pick layer 8, which makes it kind of a light gray color. And then I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to take my pencil tool or my drawing tool, and I'm going to pick number 7, which is this kind of red color. And the reason I do that is I want it to show up. So I'm going to start out with a turtle. So I just go in here and periodically click along this line. And then when I get back to here, if I click right there, that'll make this a solid piece. And if you ever, it took me a long time to figure this out. When you get to the end of a line, right click and it makes it end. So once we got that done, I'm going to come in here to my nodes and then touch my line. So all these nodes now that I clicked around here, they're all straight lines. That's the way they come in by default. And if anyone knows how to make them come in, if you can select them and make them curved lines, I have not figured out any way to do this. So if you go in there on all these nodes, we can start on the green one. That's our starting point and end point. So you just put your cursor over it till it changes shapes like that. And then hit the S key. And that does a, what does S stand for? I forgot. Smooth line. So S changes it to a smooth line. So then you come down and basically you got to go to every node. And you see it puts the little bars out where you can adjust it. But you don't really have to do a lot of adjusting. So you go through here and you just do that with every node. I won't do this on every single piece of this, but I want to at least make sure you see what I'm doing. So we make sure we get every node. Okay, so now it pretty much rounded our circle out. Because if you look at where the pink is, and if you go ahead, you can go ahead and click off of that and see it follows pretty good. It's a little bit out right here, and it's kind of wobber-jawed right there. So we come back and we can click our edit nodes again and click on the line somewhere. And see that one right there? That's why that one looks like it does, because I missed that one. I'll highlight over that one again. Well, no, I guess I didn't. just kind of a flat spot. So you can do a little bit of adjusting, and you just grab these handles. Like this one here comes out pretty far, so we can kind of split the difference here. Doesn't have to be perfect, it's a turtle, and it's supposed to look like a line drawing too. So we go ahead and we click off of it, and that looks bad right there. Okay, that one I had missed. That was not a smooth. So as soon as I changed that from smooth, you see how it kind of rounded that out. Okay, so that's good right there. So now some of these lines, as I'm going, I can come back in on my other layer, and I have to ungroup that. So I ungroup this bottom layer now, click back off, and then if I just barely catch that inside line and then hit my delete button, I can take that line out. Okay, so the next thing we got to do, we got to draw the feet, and then we got to draw the head on the turtle. So I'll go ahead and draw 2 feet, and then I'll fast forward through the other ones. That way, if you hopefully you'll get what I'm doing here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to kind of zoom in on where that foot is. Take my line tool again, and I want to start right here on my line. And you see how that cursor changes? That means it's going to snap to that line. Then I pull out, and I'm just dragging it, and periodically along that line, I'm clicking. Every time you see it change, that's a click. And then right back there, and then right click my mouse, and the end of the line goes away. So then I go back to my node editor, click on my line, and then I start right here and start on either side. It doesn't matter, but highlight over it, hit S, and it changes all these nodes. I don't know if that's a handle. It's kind of confusing on which ones are nodes and which ones are handles. But you just got to change all the nodes to smooth, including that last one. Okay, so now you come back up, you get your selection tool and click off of it. That one looks really good. I don't have to do anything to change that one. And if you look inside here, this inside line is not connected to anything else, so I can delete that one off. Okay, so now I'll come back over here, and I'll do one more turtle leg. So we're just going to go along this inside one. Click, 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 click. And we'll go and go to the line there. Click, and then right click to get rid of it. Go back into node editing. And you're just going to hit the S for smooth on all of your nodes. And you'll know if you missed one, because when you pull it up, you'll see a really odd looking place in your curve that wasn't smoothed out. It's pretty obvious usually when you're missing one. So you get your highlight, and that doesn't look right there, so I may have missed a node there. So we go back in, click on it. No, I didn't miss one. It's just needed to be moved out a little bit. So that looks pretty good. That was the only spot I saw that really didn't look that good. So go back there. That looks pretty good. That looks like a turtle leg. So we can go ahead and we can take out that inside one there. Oh, sorry. That's not touching anything else, so we can delete that off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll do the head and these other 2 legs, and I'll fast forward through that. Okay, so I've got all my first turtle drawn, and I'm not going to trace every single turtle. I'm going to just copy these turtles and place them where all these other ones are on top of my other layer. So right now what I need to do, I need to group my turtle together so I can copy and place it other places. It's going to be hard to do with all these other lines around here. So what I'm going to do, my gray layer is the one that I'm just tracing over. So I'm going to hit right here where it says show. I'm going to turn that off. It now goes away. I can highlight it, and then I want to group it. And now I can turn my other layer back on. So now I've got that. So now if I want to highlight that, I can just click on it and I can get it. And I've accidentally moved it, undo move. So now I can highlight that one. So now I want to just take it and I'm going to right click and duplicate. And then I'm just going to arrow over a little bit, get it out of the way. Or you can grab it too. And what else I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take it just to make sure they all look a little bit different. I'm going to go and I'm going to flip it horizontally. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to place it pretty close to where this one is. And these little arrows right here will allow you to rotate the thing. So we're going to go, let's just go with that right there. So while I've got it highlighted again, I'm going to right click it again, duplicate, and if you can just take it and drag it too, it doesn't really matter. And then we're going to flip horizontal each time. That way each two of them that are right by each other won't look exactly the same. Get it rotated somewhere close to where the other one is. That'll be good. So we're going to right click and duplicate again. We'll drag that one here and then we'll make the other two horizontal on each side. So that one will be fine where it is. So let's right click and duplicate. Drag it over here. Well, we got it highlighted. We're going to flip it. We're going to rotate it a little bit. We'll give each one of them a little bit of a different angle. They don't all look the same. And then we can go ahead and just, since that one's already flipped, we can duplicate it and drag it over here. And we'll point that one that way a little bit more. Okay, so now we got all of our turtles. So you can turn off this other line. So now we got all 6 of our turtles. That one I'm going to, you can tell a little bit more of the, give them each a little bit more rotation, just so they don't all look the same. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we can turn our back one back on. So now what we need to do, we got all of our turtles, and now we got to make the waves. So what I need to do is I'm going to highlight this one, and I need to put a box around because I need to have ends on all these lines. So I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to drag a rectangle. Actually got that pretty dang close, didn't I? Oops. Edit, undo, create rectangle. So we're just going to select it and we're going to bring it in just a little bit. This doesn't have to be perfect because we're recreating all these lines anyway. Okay, so let's go ahead and we've got 14.3 by 10.8. So let's go ahead and just make this thing 14 even. Unlock it. Make sure that's still highlighted. So we'll make it 14 by 11. Okay. So that'll work. So now what we have to do is we have to trace our lines. So let's just zoom in right here. And again, we'll start right on our line here. That's why we had to have this box. Click on that box. let up, click, 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 and click again on your line. Right click to get off of it, and you come back, you get on your node editor, and then you got to come in and change all these to smooth. If anyone knows, I've looked through all the LightBurn stuff, I've looked on YouTube, I've looked everywhere, and I cannot find any way that I can go in and select all these nodes and change them to smooth at the same time. Have not found it. I'm hoping it exists and someone can tell me how to do it. I'll be your best friend forever if you do. So now we got that. So we got a line that goes all the way through. So we can turn this off and then highlight those lines, and we can get rid of these lines. We'll get rid of these lines as we can, but we don't need that line anymore. So we got this line here, and it's going to go through the turtle's foot. So I'll show you what we're going to do with that real quick, and then I'll do a couple more lines, and then I'll fast forward through all the rest of it, or just do that off camera. So we start here on the line, and we just start following this line. We're going to go through the turtle's foot. So we're going to get off our line a little bit. It doesn't have to be an exact replica. This is just kind of giving us our guidance. So now we got a line all the way across. We go into node editing mode. Highlight all of our nodes and then get over them and hit S for smooth. Zoom back in on this a little. Oh. And one thing I did notice, like when you hit one, it puts handles out at the end of the handles. If you watch to the right of this, see the handles come out. The next dot past the handles is your next node. It won't put handles past the next node. So that makes it a little easier to figure out which ones are which. Okay, so I got all those done. We'll click off of it and look. That looks pretty good. So that line there is probably connected to a lot of other stuff. That's where this thing gets tricky. It's like if we highlight that line, see it goes all the way down here. So we can't get rid of that line yet. We just have to leave it there until we get a few more lines done. So we're going to do one more line, and then I'm going to show you one more little trick on what we have to do here. So I'll do this one real quick. Node editing. Wrong one. Why did I do that? Oh, because I still have this other layer selected. So we can turn that off if we want to. So go to the node editing, click on that line. Once you got that line highlighted, if you come up to this little square with the dotted lines, that's the frame section, and it'll highlight. It'll frame out what you've got highlighted at that time, and it just makes it a little bit bigger, puts it where it's easier to see in your work surface. So go in here and we're going to smooth these out. And when you hit the smooth on the nodes, it takes care of your lines pretty well. You may have to do some adjusting if it has a place where it just doesn't look right. But in general, it does a good job smoothing them out. You don't really have to do anything. So I'll show you an instance if you do need to do something. So this one right here, let's go back in node editing. This one right here is a little extreme, so we just drop that one down a little bit. And maybe kick that up a little. Okay, so you can do that. So now the next thing we have to do, and really after this, it gets just completely repetitive. So the last thing we have to do, these turtles need to be on top of these wave lines, okay? So we got to remove that line, and we got to remove that line. And it's pretty simple again too. So you just highlight in here, you get back in node editing mode. Highlight that line. So you got to have a node on this corner. So if you just hover over that corner, and hit I, that inserts a node. And then the next thing we need to do, let's go ahead and do both sides, and I'll do the other one the easiest way. So now we have a node here on this corner and a node here on this corner. Well, we need to be able to break this line out. So one of the other shortcut functions is you highlight over a node and you hit B for break. And then you re-highlight your line again, get on the other side, hit B for break, go back up to your selection tool. Now that is a separate line. You hit the delete button, that line's gone now. So now we went from having like this to having this. So a little bit quicker way to doing it, go back to your node editing. You can do those first two steps at one. So highlight that point there, hit I. Oh, I gotta get on the line first. I gotta get my nodes activated. So I get on that line there, I hit I for insert a node, and then hit B while you're on it. So that goes ahead and inserts a node and then breaks it. Highlight your line again, get over on the other side, I for insert a node, and then B to break it. Go back to your selection tool, highlight that line, make sure that it's only dotted there to there. It is, so we hit delete. And now we have the lines are broken, which makes it look like it goes underneath the turtle. So I'm going to fast forward through a couple more of these lines. So basically I'm just going to turn that back on. So I'm just going to keep tracing these lines all the way down until I get to the bottom, and I'll have to cut them out around the turtles. So I'll put a couple more lines in and fast forward, and then I'll finish it off camera, and then we'll come back and take a look at it and see what it looks like. Okay, I've got all this traced now, all the way down. I deleted a few of the lines and stuff off here. I just kind of went over them. Some of these I tried tracing along some of the lines. Some of them I just kind of changed around, tried to keep them from getting too thin in any one place. So if we come up here now and we turn that off, that's what the whole thing looks like. So now we don't really need this layer that I got turned off. We really don't need this layer anymore. So I'm going to take that layer and I'm just going to delete it. We're going to delete it. So now all we have is our one line layer on here, so we can run a preview and see how it runs. Let's go ahead and take it down to 20. It's a 24-minute cut, but this is a 14-inch by 11-inch roughly. I can speed that up a little bit. And it cuts odd. I don't know why it cuts like it does. It cuts really odd in the order. I've tried adjusting it. I made one of these before I did the video, and then I never could really figure out how to make it cut in the right order. It didn't even cut in the order that I drew it. But anyway, so that looks pretty good. Let's come all the way out on that. So that looks perfect. The only issue that I see is I got pretty close right here to that, so that piece is going to want to break off. and that piece is going to break off. So I can come back and make some adjustments to those two lines, but other than that, I think it looks pretty good. So anyway, it's a lot of node editing, but the node editing is very powerful in this program. You can do a lot of stuff with it. It's a lot of work. It could be made easier if you could select multiple nodes and change them to smooth or to straight or whatever. At the same time, it would be a big time savings. But anyway, this software is really great. I mean, I really figured I'd do most of my design stuff in Adobe and move it over, but I've gotten to the point where I do most of my design in LightBurn now. So it's a pretty cool program. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. If you got anything that you're struggling with that maybe I can help you with, let me know down in the comments. I appreciate you watching. Please like, please subscribe, please share my videos. Thank you.